And let's talk about what the Bears are going to do at number one. Because to me, as the draft process continues further and further on, you're going to see a greater separation between Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. And there's quarterback needy teams, i.e., Indianapolis Colts,
Houston Texans,
Houston Texans, Las Vegas Raiders. I'm going to put the Falcons in that mix. I don't know if they are as needy as some of the other teams.
Yeah.
Carolina Panthers, not really the New York Jets. So I guess those 5 teams, right? Texans, Colts, Raiders, Falcons, Panthers, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And to be fair too, they're really looking for just 2 quarterbacks. I don't at the end of all this, I don't see Will Levis or Anthony Richardson being taken in the top 10. I'll gladly eat my words, but there's enough film on them, and if they were to be talked about that, I think they're getting a lot of hype, just like how a lot of the quarterbacks last draft got a lot of hype just because it's the quarterback position.
Yeah.
You know. And Kenny Pickett was the only guy taken in the first round.
And
he was the only guy taken in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah. And for me, Will Levis and Anthony Richardson, but Anthony Richardson to a lesser extent, project to be a Josh Allen type project where it's going to be 3+ years before this guy is really competing at a high NFL level. However, Will Levis does not quite have the same physical upside that Josh Allen has. And his tape is a little bit worse. I get Josh Allen played at Wyoming. So, again, I think Bryce Young and CJ Stroud will continue to separate themselves. And I think that's going to put a lot of pressure on, Indianapolis to get in front of Houston, to take their guy, right? Instead of just letting one fall to them. But also, if Chicago refuses to trade that pick, Houston's obviously not going to trade. Now the Cardinals become a trade target, and you have 7, 8, 9, the pick 7, 8, 9, all trying to move up in front of the Colts. And so, if you're Chicago, are you fielding offers for this?
Are you fielding offers for it?
Yeah, I mean,
that's not the question. Of course, they're fielding offers.
They're fielding offers.
What is the minimum that they would take for this pick?
That's what I was.
Of course, they're fielding offers for this pick. Like absolutely. I mean, they need to give Lovie Smith a raise. I think, and he's not even hired with them. But it's like, hey, here's $10 million. We just want to give you $10 million. Thank you so much for this. Because this Texans were not going to trade back at all. So, and trading up to the second spot where the Bears could have been, compared to now we're at the number 1 spot, it gives them at least another first-round draft pick of leverage than compared to number 2. Like, even if the Colts just went up to number 2, maybe first this year and first next year. I was like, they trade the first this year and then first next year. Going up to number 1, though, now having the first pick, getting a say in everything, jumping over all these teams. Now it's a bidding war. Yeah. And so it got them at least another first-round pick. I think it'll be 3 first-round picks, even for the Colts, just because the Raiders, that's what the Raiders are going to have to offer just for them to go back to 7.
Let me look. What did the 49ers offer to get up to 3?
3 first-round picks, because this was still their first-round pick. The Broncos would have had their first-round pick still, if it wasn't for them trading them to the Saints for Sean Payton.
Yeah, 3 first-round picks.
It was 2?
No, 3. Well,
okay.
That year's and then 2 more.
Okay.
Yeah. So, in my opinion,
and that's from 12 to 3.
That was from 12 to 3. However, I think if you're looking at going from 9 to 1, that's the same difference. No.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much. From 9 to 1.
Well, but
you're offering at least 3 firsts plus a second and a third.
Yeah. So it would be at least 3 firsts and then a lot more other picks. Because also another thing too, comparing that 49ers pick as well, is you're trading up, and it was well known. You're trading up for the 3rd best quarterback. Now you're trading up for the best quarterback.
Yeah.
Which is a much bigger difference.
You're also trading up for the third best quarterback in a group of 5 quarterbacks. Now you're trading up for the best quarterback in a group of 2.
Yeah.
And so it's like there's a lot more reason to get up there.
Mm-hmm.
For me, if I'm the Bears, I don't really want to help out the NFC teams as much.
Mm-hmm.
I think they will have to pay even more on top of even more, just because they're in the NFC. I get they're not in the division, but still.
Yeah. No, I get that. No, that's a good point. So like the Panthers, I don't think the Panthers will trade up. Like just for that point alone, they would have to. They have a new coach. They need to go through rebuild. Last thing that they want to do is mortgage their future and draft picks. So I think that's out. Josh McDaniels has a year under his system. They have. Well, how much did they get for the Devontae Adams trade?
How much did they spend?
Yeah, spend. I'm trying to
remember
what the draft capital was.
All the picks were last year.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not horrible then.
Because it was like a first and a second, and then like a fifth.
Because the Packers had 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so they potentially could. The ones to me, I think, are going to be the.
Yeah, it was a 1 and a 2.
Yeah. If you're the Bears, and this is an interesting point though, actually too, is you also have to think is how badly do these teams want to get in front of the Texans, or do they just want to get in front of the Colts and guarantee that second QB?
So I don't think the price changes all that much for the Raiders or the Falcons to the Colts, because the Colts have to, if they want a quarterback, they have to get up to 1.
Yeah, and if you're the Bears, like I think that you're absolutely asking for that same thing, because the Bears are in a spot where we need everything except QB. So the more draft picks that you can get, like this needs to be a high price to pay. And I was thinking about it too. If you're the Colts, you do need to address the offensive line, but you kind of have some of the pieces there. Like they can afford, I think, to maybe mortgage like their youth a little bit, because you still have Jonathan Taylor that's there. Their offensive line can need some improvements and get some health. Yes. But that can be done through offseason, or even picking a guy like Cody Mock in the 2nd round or 3rd round or something like that. And their defense was good last year. I think that's one of the things that people aren't just really noticing, just because they did blow that lead against the Vikings, and then also they had a horrible 4th quarter against the Dallas Cowboys. But if you look at the sum of the whole of their season, their defense actually was fairly solid. They have some guys hitting free agency.
Their defense was top 5 in the NFL.
It was? Okay.
Yeah.
So, even with those games like there, they just couldn't get anything going on offense with a quarterback.
Yeah.
So, for me to kind of sum it all up, I think the Bears absolutely trade this pick. I think you try and get the best offer possible, because you need to address so much. And this is a multi-year rebuild that you're going through. And they have a lot of extra picks this year already, from trading Robert Quinn. And then who was the other guy?
Roquan Smith.
And Roquan Smith. They have the number one. They have the most projected cap space going into this offseason. I think you absolutely take advantage of the situation. Even if you fall back to 4, Will Anderson, yes, is number 1. So you fall back to 4, then you get Tyree Wilson. And drop off only just because of how great Will Anderson is.
Jalen Carter also is in the mix.
Well, and Jalen Carter is also there. That's assuming the Cardinals don't take him as well.
Yeah.
But if you're the Bears, you have every reason to get rid of this pick, because Will Anderson will be a huge improvement. But then if you get Tyree Wilson plus then all the other future additional first round picks that you're going to get, I think can immediately make this team into a contender 2 years from now.
No, I agree. I think if you look at a lot of what sports franchises have done in the past to get successful, I'm going to go over the NBA here, but do you remember when the Boston Celtics traded Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett to the Brooklyn Nets for like
Mhm.
first round picks over the next 6 years?
Yeah.
Okay, well, with that, they drafted Jaylen Brown, Jason
Tatum.
Yeah, Jason Tatum. I kept wanting to say Jason Hayward, but I know it was Gordon Hayward, who they eventually had. Jason Tatum, and then one other guy. And now the Celtics are the 1 seed in the East Conference in the NBA. And I think the NFL, while different because it's harder to consistently draft those star players.
Yeah.
It's pretty similar. Look at what the Eagles are doing right now with all the draft capital that they've had. They're not only drafting good players, but they're also trading the excess draft capital to whoever to the Titans for AJ Brown.
Yeah.
And so, like, for me, I think having a surplus of first round picks over the next year or over the next 3 to 4 years is, and I hate to say it, is better than what Will Anderson or Jalen Carter at 1 can do for you.
Yeah. Also, too, if you look at the picks for next year, though, especially for in the receiving core, you have Marvin Harrison Jr. coming up, and then who's the other receiver on Ohio State? Amika Ibuka, I think. Yeah. And so, I mean, those 2 guys right there are probably going to be top 10 picks. It is extremely possible you trade with the Colts, you might have 2 top 10 picks. You could get both of those receivers, and then boom, you're receiving. I don't know if you double up on receiver, but they could both be available, and it allows for that growth, that talent.
Yeah. Well, shoot. Even if you trade back with the Raiders, right? You get the Raiders. I think the Raiders are more likely to suck next year than the Colts, just because of how strong that division is now. Sean Payton is in Denver. Kellen Moore is the offensive coordinator in LA. Like that division.
That division's loaded.
Division is loaded. So like you have a very solid chance of a top 15 pick next year with that trade with Las Vegas, and the years to come. And it's like, okay, so then you get Paris Johnson to protect Justin Fields. That only helps the running game.
Mm-hmm.
And then this draft is pretty deep at receiver. If you're trading back with Las Vegas, you're getting that at least 2 more first rounds and probably 2 more seconds. Like that's a huge trade offer. And so I think it's really interesting to see what's going to come of the Chicago Bears at number 1. But I mean, they hold the cards right now with it. So it'll be interesting to see.
I think it's going to be fun to watch. The Bears, by the first overall pick, I think the Bears will trade, or by the time that they're on the clock, that they will have traded that first overall.
I think it'll be a pre-draft trade. I think after the combine, before the draft.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I think that is going to wrap up this episode of the Tracy Take. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Tyler and I are going to be putting out a lot more content. I cannot stress that enough. We're going to be posting, going live at least twice a week and posting videos almost all the other days. So if you guys have not already, like, subscribe, hit that bell notification so we can let you know whenever we post, and we'll see you guys next time.